My mother kicked me out when I needed her most. 15 years later, I bought the house she was losing, and what I did with it left everyone speechless. My name is Maya, and this is not a story I ever thought I'd tell. There's a silence that lives in certain houses. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that hums with all the words no one was allowed to say. That's what my childhood home felt like. Growing up, we were what people politely called a struggling family. My mother, Denise, worked double shifts at a local diner. My father, when he was around, worked construction. He drank too much, shouted too much, and left too often. But it wasn't his absence that shaped me. It was my mother's silence every time he did something cruel. She wasn't physically abusive. She didn't have to be. She just never saw me. My older brother, Kyle, got everything. When he failed classes, she blamed the teachers. When I got straight A's, she barely looked up. When he stole money from her purse, she cried and forgave him. When I asked for $20 for a school trip, she said, "Do I look like I'm made of money?" By the time I was 15, I had learned to become invisible in my own house. I kept my head down, did my homework, stacked my dishes, got a job at the grocery store after school, and used the money to buy my own clothes. I thought if I just behaved perfectly enough, I might earn her love. Spoiler, I didn't. Everything came crashing down the summer before my junior year. Kyle got arrested again. This time for breaking and entering. It was his third time in juvie. My mom was shattered. She sobbed for hours and then turned her rage toward me. She blamed me for being the good one, said I made Kyle feel like a failure, that I was selfish, that I thought I was better than all of them. I stood there, confused, a trash bag of clothes at my feet because that day, she told me to leave. Just like that. I thought it was a joke until she threw my backpack out the front door. I stayed with my friend Jasmine and her mom. They let me sleep on their couch for months. Her mom even called CPS when she realized what happened, but I begged them not to get involved. I just wanted to finish school and get out. I got a scholarship to a state university 3 hours away. I studied social work. I wanted to understand people like my mom, to figure out what makes a person so cold to their own child. I worked nights, took out loans, ate ramen for weeks at a time. But I made it. By 24, I had my degree and was working at a shelter for women and kids. By 28, I was promoted to a director role at a community nonprofit. I rented a small studio apartment, drove an old Camry, and built a quiet, stable life. I didn't speak to my mom or Kyle. Not out of hate, but because I knew they hadn't changed. Then one day, I got a letter. Not a call. Not a message. A handwritten letter from my mother. "Maya, I don't know if this will reach you. The house is being foreclosed. Kyle's gone again. I have nowhere to go. I'm scared." Mom. I stared at the paper for over an hour. I hadn't thought about that house in years. The peeling wallpaper. The hum of the fridge that never quite closed. The cracked kitchen tiles. The sound of Kyle slamming his door. My mom's distant footsteps. The bank information was included. The debt wasn't astronomical, $32,000. I could afford it, but something in me hesitated. I visited the old street that weekend. The house looked the same, maybe a little sadder. I stood on the sidewalk for a long time. No one answered when I knocked. Then I made a decision. I bought the house. In cash. In my name. And I didn't tell her. 2 weeks later, I sent her another letter, just like she had sent me. "Mom, the house isn't yours anymore. It's mine. I bought it. I'm converting it into transitional housing for young women aging out of foster care. Girls who've been forgotten. Girls like me. You can stay in the guest room for now. There's a job opening for kitchen help at the center. Your choice. Maya." She showed up 3 days later. She didn't speak much. Just nodded and unpacked. She never said thank you. Not at first. But over the months, I watched something change. The first time she made lunch for the girls, she cried. She said it reminded her of me, the way I used to help Kyle with his homework at the kitchen table. The way I'd hum while washing dishes. Things I never knew she noticed. One night, while folding sheets, she said, "I didn't know how to love you the way you deserved. I was too broken.
I didn't say anything.
I just kept folding. She's still there today. Working part-time, still a little sharp around the edges. But softer. Sometimes healing doesn't look like a hug or a big, tearful apology. Sometimes it's just someone finally showing up, even if it's years too late.
And as for me,
I no longer feel like that invisible girl in the hallway. I walk through those rooms now and see purpose. A place where forgotten girls find their footing. A house that once held silence and shame, now full of laughter and healing and hope. And that is more than I ever dreamed it could be.